Okay. I found it. I found it. I found it. I found it. I don't know what the volume's going to be like, so I'll play with it as we go through. Now it's going to be Rapha going versus Vengeur. It's again, as I said, last match of the day. It's round 7. It's day 1 of QuakeCon 2019. At this point, by the way, Vengeur has not lost a single map on day 1. I can't remember exactly the full extent of players that he's gone against. I know Chron's been one. I think he's gone against a bunch of Americans. I'm not sure the other type of opposition he's had. But Rapha's obviously a big opposition to have. Well, again, like, there probably are going to be spoilers on this. Like, I'll be very surprised if people don't really know the results of the maps of the games before they happened. So I'm not going to, like, shout about it all the time. But, again, this is less commentary and more, I don't know, talking about, I don't know, semi-analysis, enjoying the games, discussing it. I think we can be sure Vengeur did not face Italian competition. Yeah, he didn't. He's the solo Italian player in this. But we do go to Vale first. Wait, who's got what? Rapha's got Sorlag. Vengeur's got Galena. Again, a kind of an interesting a matchup. Totems bring something else. I wish I knew who picked the champions first. It would add so much to it. Because you've got like the totems that can heal through and disable the spit. Then you got Sorlag is obviously invulnerable to certain damage parts on the map. It's got increased movement, but maybe increased likelihood of walking into totems because of the momentum you're carrying. I mean, there's some interesting variables in here, but pretty aggressive so far from almost both players, I'd say, because Vengeur was second to challenge on rockets, and he wanted to move in there. So he's kind of asking for a fight. So both players are going back to their respective sides to try and pick up some resources. And I might be an idiot, but I think Rapha got himself onto the heavy. Because he had Vengeur totally stuck. But his stack is looking great. I'm going to turn this on just a little bit because it's very loud for me at least. Rapha not on Scale Bearer. My disappointment is immeasurable. Rapha's Scale Bearer is pretty damn good. A couple of botched rockets there from Vengeur. He had actually a very good start to that fight. Rapha reigning supreme. This is definitely Rapha's map pick. That's the only one thing that I'm certain about, because I know that we're going to Awoken next, which is Vengeur's best map. And it'd be very weird for them to pick either of them against each other. Oh, sorry. It'd be very weird for them to pick the other one against each other, considering Vale is also Rapha's best map. Oh. Missed rocket jump, and that missed rocket jump allows Vengeur to get out of there. But is Vengeur just going to walk back into trouble? He's walking back into damage, which is kind of the same thing. Just checking to see, with that rocket, to see if Vengeur's going to walk back through, but he makes a really good read up the bounce pad. I don't think he knew before the teleporter that the bounce pad was being used, but maybe there was a chance to react. Okay, he's rotating on the items again. And Alvi is saying Rapha did get both major items on the second rotation earlier, so Rapha's had some pretty good control. And Vengeur needs to find a way to fight him off of that. Did he just hear a totem? Yeah, okay. There we are. I'm not sure if he heard it. Just saw it. So Vengeur's now managed to get an alright position. So he can get himself the mega health. He really needs some reason. That's a pretty sick push, actually, from Vengeur. He had good damage, but I don't know if he necessarily needed to commit down there, because he also had a better position to take the heavy armor. So I feel like it's... Vengeur's a very aggressive player, and he's someone who makes aggressive plays work incredibly well. In fact, he's someone that I would closely compare with Nosfer's creative aggression, That's something that Vengeur is also like one of his main selling points and success points. But then sometimes, if you just decide to have that control game, you could get yourself to double overstack against the Sorlag, and that really gives you what you need in order to take a fight in a close quarters area like the Rocket Room. I think it was very... you had high expectations, and maybe over-ambitious expectations, going in for a fight like that. Against Rapha, who is generally going to be ready for those types of fight. He knows what to expect from players. Ooh, does miss the rail. That would be a sad face for him. Vengeur's low here. He could try to hit an air rocket, but he just hit the ledge instead, which will do a bit of splash. And Heavy might have been taken. It's good damage from Vengeur, but the fact that the rail happens and then that rail, like that last rail there, is disgusting. But the only reason any of that happened is because he hit the opening rail as well. That was a really, really nice frag from Rapha. And he's got a super strong lead at the moment. This is already getting quite difficult for Vengeur to come back from. So if he doesn't get back into control of upper area and at least one of the two major items in the next minute and a half, then I really feel like this is largely unrecoverable. Oh, yo, Neg. Can I recreate the QuakeCon vibe and comment the VODs of capital E? Do you want me to scream a little bit more, Neg? What are you suggesting here? The mood, though, in the player area during the round robin games was more silent focus. You know, people who are watching there aren't really cheering. They're kind of... There's maybe an occasional noise after, like, the round is ending, or if someone, you know, a big upset happens or an important win happens. But for the first, like, 20 to 30 minutes of each round, it's mostly deathly silence and focus, and you don't want to make a squeak because you're afraid to disrupt the player's focus. What's up, Frothy? How you doing, man? Your dad? Wait, are you talking to me? I'll be the Quake dad. They kept telling you to shut up down by the players. Oh, well, you were just making a lot of noise then, Jeff. Yes, me. Oh man, this is a touching moment. If this was 40, he would make a very lewd comment. Sorry, I haven't spoken much about the game in the last minute. It's been like a very dominant start for Rapha with some over-aggression from Vengeur, which is something I'm kind of used to saying about his play. And Vengeur is still not really recovered from that. And he's lost out on the control that he should have been getting earlier, just because the frag that he did secure wasn't really that clean. Not a bad push from Vengeur, but he didn't win the heavy. If he wins the heavy there, he's in great shape. I dare say that winning the heavy is like the big requirement, or the success factor that he needed. Not winning heavy is kind of a big deal. Did the pros get a seating plan like in school, like Kilson sitting near Dahang? Honestly, I don't really know what the seating plan was like. I know like Base and Cooler were sat next to each other, and Avik and Uzron were sat next to each other, and these are guys who are like friends with each other or spent a lot of time with each other. So I feel like it was a kind of a first come, first serve, and you just sit where you like. Also, the Maestro, two of the Maestro players were sat next to each other. Garpy was sat like the opposite side of the curtain to Razy and Vengeur. So on one end, you had like Rapha sat next to Garpy. He was on like the the absolute end. The Hang was sat miles away from Rapha. And then, like, behind Rapha, I think Razy was sat. Or maybe someone else. And then beside that, someone else, Razy. And then beside Razy was Vengeur. Yeah, this is a lot of pressure. A lot of risks being taken from Vengeur. But these rails have been just absolutely sick from Rapha. I think his rails are a good reason of why he was able to establish the lead in the first place, and now been a good reason why he's shutting down any attempts at a comeback. So there's one kill there. Rapha just needs to kind of put a stop to this somehow. This is a tricky situation to get out of because you're huge and you kind of need a couple more rail misses to come out and try and sneak your way out the top. But it looks like he's kind of just challenging Vengeur to push closely to him, which he doesn't seem confident in doing. And I really think in that circumstance, you kind of have to. He gets the kill. We've got delayed spawns already, so you can tell that Rapha is respecting the fact that mathematically a comeback can be made. But now he's got a starting stack, and this comeback just gets so hard. Especially if damage has been taken throughout the fight, and then you respawn with 125, 100. That it was basically impossible to begin with. Yeah, and Vengeur's just gonna basically coast this one out now. He knows it's even mathematically impossible. Brick was in front of... Yeah, so Brick was the one that was on the end of the table opposite Rapha, like behind the curtain, and then by Brick that was Razy, and then Vengeur sat down.
You win.
Give us the stats, Rapha. Give us the stats.
Balls out.
Yo, Rolly, thanks very much for the 19 months, man. VOD F. Are we saying VOD effortless? No, we are VODing the F out of this, man. I've had to cut up so many of my own VODs now as well. There's so much content. Wait, you think you'd switch the desktop image? There's a lot of interesting seating setups though, Neg. Like, because the seats are fairly small. I wonder what I would have done, but there's a huge amount of pillows being taken from hotel rooms and put in a seating area. Raph is known for that. Cooler's known for that. I'm sure as hell there's going to be a bunch more players that do it. Yeah, I imagine there's some fair limitations on what you could do to the computers in terms of customize them. But there are a whole host of admins there that were around to sort out any player requests, computer troubles, etc., etc. I think your priorities club may be lying in the wrong place if that's what you really just need to change the desktop background. It's, oh, you've got like this big tournament that you got to think. No, I must change the desktop background. I think you're right about that, Jeff. I think it was kind of EU's physically sandwiched by Americans. But it was like the only Americans on one side of it was Rapha and Brick. I think on Rapha's side, it was Rapha was sat next to Garpy, and next to Garpy, I think, was Base or Cooler, and then next to Base or Cooler was Base or Cooler, and then next to that was Ron, then Avec, then after that, I don't remember.
Prepare to fight.
Right, well, we're moving now on to Vengeur's map. It's Awoken. We're now Doom versus Ranger. Vengeur does usually like to pick Doom on this map. I think that's probably like his preferred champion here, but range is also a very, very good champion to play as well on this map. And that's a super aggressive start from Vengeur, which I do like a lot. Heavy start with a champion that hasn't got something like the Orb or like a Ghost Orc or some interesting mobility mechanic means that on your way to a weapon, there's a high likelihood that you could already be trying to fend off some kind of damage. So Rapha finds himself on 100-100. He's going to be moving back to now to the second heavy. Vengeur, probably, it took some damage as well, so his stack's not going to be crazy, but he will get himself this next mega health under a bit of pressure. That direct rocket, though, is really nasty for Rapha to have walked into. I think Tox was actually sat on Rapha's side as well, but like a lot further down. I'm pretty sure Tox was on there somewhere. In fact, Tox might have been earlier on, like between Garpy and Base Cooler. Oh, dude, that combo. That's like insane. I don't know what Rapha's saying, but I hope he's giving a great narrative of the events. I actually want to go back to that. Is there like an easier way to go back to that? How do I go back to it? So it's like 100-100 basically. It would be the mega health up in a moment. Like that rocket jump and boom. Was that an air rocket as well? I think that it was either an air rocket or like perfectly against the ledge. Either way, it was really, really sick. Ooh, that second rail. He's still railable himself. I would assume Vengeur has that weapon. Oh, I think it's a shame that he didn't use the rail there, but at the same time, if he used the rail and then Vengeur suddenly turns around, then he could be in trouble. So, I don't think it's the worst thing to have happened. And Vengeur's just desperate to get something. Rapha hoping that he can get a reload and maybe spam out another rail shot. But Vengeur made the right call there, just jumping in on him as soon as he could. Nice orb for distraction, but can Vengeur actually live? Whoo! Jesus Christ! Need to look at that again. Can I pause like this? So he's like going out of view now. Oh, that's dirty, dude. That is so dirty. I'm gonna watch it again. Oh. And that's like land stuff, so you know that's like exactly what players are seeing. That is really, really disgustingly nice from Vengeur. Now that I'm getting used to playing the arrow keys and spacebar, I'm gonna do this more often. This is fun. It just had the sound effect on that rail as well. That just made it like even better. It looks like Vengeur doesn't want to commit to this. He's taken a lot of damage fairly recently. So he's just been defending positions. Keeps a track of where Rapha is. He's not doing much damage himself, but he's got information that he needs. Rapha's showing some pretty cool movement too with Doom. Ooh, a little bit of a higgledy-piggledy there with the rail. That rail could have shut things down really hard then. Has Heavy been taken? I think it got taken at the same time as the light. Vengeur respecting the rocket splash. Another, like, how many times have we seen that in the VODs that we've reviewed? People sitting on mega health, wanting it to spawn, but dying in the fight too quickly. Sometimes it happens within, like, 1,000th of a second. And sometimes people are, like, a second and a half too early, you know? Like, this has happened so much. And I want these to be mistakes that we start to never see between players and, like, to be honest, all players in top 10 EU, top 10 NA/SA, you know, CIS, etc. None of these people should be making that mistake, in my opinion. Alright, Rapha is making a comeback over here. Is that the spawn, actually? I've never really seen that being played with on the other side. That's very sick if it is, actually. I see people playing for the spawn above the bounce pad, but never over there.
Impressive. 5-minute warning.
I mean, people are definitely afraid of items getting stolen if they're not there, but if you know you've got a low stack and you are depending on the mega health to spawn in order for you to win a fight, then you should know if you can stay in that fight with like 30 to 50% LG being hit. If your lifespan within an LG fight is a second and yet you need 2.5 seconds, then you shouldn't be in that fight to begin with. It's got nothing to do with, like, scared that the opponent's going to get it. You've got to keep yourself alive, you know? And even if you let that opponent pick up the mega health, maybe you could adopt a different position, try to get a fadeaway rail, use some splash rockets, tri-bolt spam. Like, there's so many different options that you have, but dying and then letting your opponent get the mega health, like, that's like the worst outcome. So I'll fight for, you know, those plays being something that we had ruled out. That's a painful combo. Rapha can't do a lot about that. He's still very vocal. Again, wish I knew what he was saying. Good LG from Vengeur, only getting hit once with the punch. And he's got a fairly decent lead at the moment. It's a good spawn for Rapha. He urgently needs weapons. But the fact that he has overstack on both health and armor right now is pretty sexy. And Vengeur knows that he spawned like that, so he's going to stay the hell away from him. So Rapha's got everything he needs. It's up to Vengeur at the moment to hit the perfect defensive rockets. He's so patient with that one around the corner, but is trying to hit the follow-ups. He's done great damage. Rapha has secured a kill. His stack is going to be very middling in a moment. And now Rapha's trying to figure out, how do I sustain my control for as long as possible? He's lost out on the heavy, but he's done good damage himself. So stacks are probably fairly equal right now. And it's going to be now even more for Rapha because Megas just spawned. That's a really good read from Rapha of Vengeur coming around that corner. So Vengeur's still now trying to keep it slow. And I wonder if he's going to challenge for heavy or what he's going to do when heavy spawns. There's the 160 to 100. Heavy's up now. Vengeur nowhere to be seen for the moment. He's killing time. Rapha's... like, even that rocket jump, I don't entirely like the rocket jump he did from heavy. I think keep as much of that stack as you can. But it doesn't really matter, I guess, at the end of the day. He has the mega health, a good defensive rocket from Vengeur. And this is forcing Rapha. Like, the damage Vengeur's done so far means that Rapha has to go back to the heavy armor and avoid confrontation. So, 30 seconds killed. Now Rapha, an aggressive jump through elbow. A lot of the time that's considered a dangerous move to make, but given the situation and that Vengeur is a very middling stack and Rapha is chasing aggressively for the lead, Vengeur's like, I don't want to be involved. I want to keep playing a defensive strategy where I can hit some shots from you as you're chasing me. And the longer this goes on for, the more direct Rapha has to be about the chases. And that's been some good defensive damage from Vengeur. But it's going to have to be heavy once more. Oh, okay. He needs to get over to the mega health. But he's... oh, he's just found him. Oh, this is a really nice chase. That's super, super nice. I love what Rapha did there. Not going to the mega health directly, but then looking in the parts of the map where Vengeur's more likely to be hiding, he manages to catch him out. He's going to find him once more, and I think there's no orb. Oh, 5 to 6. And heavy was left up, I think. Some items were left up, at least. And mega could be up in a moment. Good rocket jump from Vengeur. Very good rocket jump. But he's got to stay alive somehow. So dangerous, I feel like, going down in the water from Vengeur. But Rapha was holding a defensive position on the elbow. Well, the mini elbow. Oh, that return rail from Vengeur. That keeps him in this game. And Rapha really needs to kill a few seconds. Oh my god, he actually... What the hell is Vengeur doing? Dude, I can't believe he did that. He didn't even go for the heavy or anything like that. He's just moving around. I'm going to go back in a second. And he's calling it GG right there on this map. Wait, so... I'm going to go back even further. So just around. This is the bit where Vengeur goes down the water. He's probably like 100 health, 50 armor, something like that. Maybe 100 to 100. But I expect closer to 150. Because he hit that, he must have been closer to 100, 100 before. The thing is, both of them are so low. This bit here, like... That's either crazy or genius from Vengeur. He probably picked up either a 25 and a light armor, so he's over 100 collective health and armor, or he just picked up the light armor, where he's probably not railable and probably not direct rocketable. And he, knowing that Rapha is so weak here, he was on 35 health. I think he just got the 25. It's like, he's blocking the heavy armor, which is the one thing that Rapha needs to have a really good go at making the comeback in the last 20 seconds of the game. So killing that time there for him, just rocket jumping away. And now there's been a lot of extra ammunition that's been used. He's doing more of his own rocket jumps. Like, this is some quality movement from Vengeur. And he's managed to kill enough time. Like, I think that orb through to heavy is genius, personally. I think that's really, really sick. And it kind of shows, though, from Vengeur, because this is his best map. He can pull out his best tricks on this map, and he can think the fastest on this map as well. So I think that's super sick. And yeah, Mangonite, you'll bring up the Ranger passive being too good. Like, it's super good in those instances where you need to move quickly. Get those rocket jumps in and expend no more than like 25 collective health and armor per rocket jump. Yeah, Maccabee's saying trying to hide with 90 seconds and up only 2 is dangerous. Yeah, if you die and you need to get those weapons and things again and you're off the items, it's super, super, super painful. You thought the play there was a rocket jump to rail, cut off his angle of retreat instead of jumping straight across. Yeah, I think it's pretty mad what he did. Like, because he definitely needed another rocket jump in order to get away by connector. Like, there was a fine line then. I wonder if it could have been easier if he did go to the back parts of the map. But because he was so low on stack already, I'm still very interested by the play of blocking the heavy. I think it's a very creative way of dealing with what is, no matter what, going to be a hard situation to handle. Oh, and hi, Chrisser, if I didn't say hello already. What's up, man?
Prepare to fight. Round begins in 3, 2.
Right, so this is the tiebreaker map between them. Corrupted Keep should be a good map for both players. And we've got an interesting, like, champions that are being used in this. Death Knight versus Strog and Pika. When I look at this straight away, I'm like, okay, we know that Rapha won PGL with Death Knight. And obviously Death Knight's seen some changes since then. He's been nerfed, but like everything's been nerfed. So for the sake of the story, it's basically as it was. Just because Rapha knows how to dominate with this champion. Vengeur, though, on Strog and Pika, to me is really weird, because Vengeur has no strong history with the champion, in my opinion. No notable victories, or, you know, Strog and Pika stories to tell the kids. Not like, say, Dahang, for instance, who's the first person to properly master the champion. So I feel like I give the advantage. If I was watching this game live, I'd be like, okay, advantage Rapha because he can tame this champion just better than Vengeur. Vengeur even invests in a rocket jump just then because he knows that he did that rocket jump. It's like he's going to be like 70 health. But he's too late to get to the heavy. And so Vengeur will survive a little longer. I think stacks are definitely favoring Rapha, but not by that much right now. Hi, Baldoro. Ooh, does catch him at that.
Stopwatch.
Oh, this is dangerous, man. Okay, so this Pika's died immediately. I say it's super dangerous for Vengeur, but he's managed to make it a fair fight. He's obviously going to take damage on the exit, but he just had to make sure that Rapha had a reason to back away at some point, and the Tri-Ball helped him out a lot there. Tri-Ball's always a weapon that I forget to use in my games. Tri-Ball is still good. Fortunately, it's not like 2018 good, but it's got some good situations to use it in. I think, did he just hit a direct there? Might as well have been. It was a good rocket he's just landed. I really feel like Rapha's been in the driving seat for most of this, and this he wants to go finish the kill in a second. Really nice play with the Pika to make the fight closer. Okay, so Vengeur off the spawn got himself to 175 health. He probably has about 70 armor. If that light armor was up. So it favors Rapha a little bit, but not that much. Okay, now it favors him a bit more much. Because Vengeur's not doing any damage. Oh, it looked like Vengeur dropped from there, and he hadn't dropped yet. Oh, Vengeur doesn't have the right timing on heavy. Shotgun is also, by the way, one of the best weapons to deal with Pika. Especially a Pika that's charging at you. It is. If it's a Pika that's charging at you, it's the best weapon to deal with. I can't remember how much health the Pika has. I think it's something like 90. But, close range shotgun blast. You'll be fine. There's no explosion there to hurt you. Vengeur is struggling to slow the game down. He's staying on the hot spots of the heavy armor, and he's trying to make something work with the control. That rocket was really close to landing at Rapha's feet. Oh no! He tries to get to like 225s or any 25. Wait, there was a 25 there. Or maybe it wasn't spawned at that stage. If Rapha had taken it recently. Oh, Sensor's saying it is 90. Okay. I'll take it. He's taken no damage through the choke point, so he's like, hell yeah, I'm going to chase. I'm still overstacked. And this is really tricky because giving away frags, you need to push your opponent out of control somehow. Ooh, there was a world in which Vengeur got that. His shotgun work was really, really strong. But it's like a really aggressive put. Like the type of push there off the spawn tells me that Vengeur is looking to invest more frags in order to get into control and in order to get himself onto the board. So far, none of that's been happening apart from the investing frags. He's been investing frags in order to help Rapha at QuakeCon. I don't know. Well, the problem, Mangano, of saying shotgun is great versus Eisen turrets. Oh god, he doesn't get the heavy again. Oh, this is bad. Yeah, this hurts, man. This is not a close corrupt to keep right now. Yeah, the problem with doing shotgun for Eisen turrets is you need to be close to the Eisen turret, so you could already be taking damage. My best weapons, in my opinion, are Tri-Ball and Super Nail Gun for Eisen turrets. Particularly from a distance. But Tri-Bolt is like a full blast, 3 bolts landing is going to kill the turret. And also Nailgun's just got that high rate of fire, high damage. And obviously the turret's not dodging you, so it's fairly basic to deal with. You're right, Censored. It's not a synonym for throwing away, but trying to paint a picture here, okay? You better like my picture. Rapha's just playing very solidly. This is my analysis. I mean, that was close. But he's taking positions which mean that Vengeur have to be very aggressive when he isn't necessarily set up to do that. And he's also been way better on the items than Vengeur has. Like, the heavy has been... oh, he missed it. Well, the heavy's been the bane of Vengeur's life on Corrupted Keep. Right now, you just make every item that Vengeur wants as expensive as possible, because there's no way he comes back without control of one of the major items. And the split between the two of them seemed to be quite good for Rapha. So he's managed to play a defensive game for a bit. A couple of seconds tick past. He takes a position on heavy because Vengeur's moved over towards the nails. I wonder what would have happened if Vengeur took a heavy position then. If Rapha would have aggressed on it, or something else would have happened. And these are just like desperate plays now for Vengeur. This is game over. Salut, Code Sang. Or if that's Code Sange. Sange. Is it Sange or Sange? Why can't I remember what monkey is in French? It's Sange. It's definitely Sange. Yeah, dominating last map. No, the I don't think it did have an outline Mangonite, but it was very clearly visible with the transparent thingy going on. Vengeur close to getting a frag there, but he hasn't had many instances this map where he's been that close. He has had maybe 1 or 2 before that point, but it's never been like Rapha surviving with 1 health. It's been surviving with like 20 or 40. Ouchie. Is Vengeur going to get on the board is the main question now. Rapha still doesn't want to give anything up. Yeah, Rapha's not the professor, he's the Sausage King of Chicago. I think 40's very upset that he's not called formally the Sausage King of Chicago.
You win.
Alright, so GG's there. I want to have a look because these players have got cameras in really annoying positions that I can't ever see all the control things that I want. But 14 heavies over 4, like that's a huge, huge difference. The damage isn't that different, but it's the fact that Rapha's got so much control. I reckon the Mega... well, if Mega's a 5, then Rapha's is going to have like a similar amount of Mega health as well, so that's big. Ooh, I think I made a mistake on my map scores. Hopefully Kozol doesn't eat me alive. Okay. Are there any other games in day 1 that we want to seize? No, I'm gonna call it day 1 is over. We're kind of moved to day 2. It's only taken 4 or 5 streams. I don't know how many streams. It's not about giving up friends, it's about sending a message. I'm not entirely sure what the message is, but yes. Let's have a look at this. I'm going to look at the clip that you've posted. Heavy position then. If Rapha would have aggressed on it, or something else would have happened. That is weird. You're right. Rapha would have aggressed on it. It's like the whole time as well. Is it meant to be like that? If Rapha would have aggressed. Hi, Pika. On it. The Pika at this point is dead. Is the one thing. When does the Pika die? Heavy position then. If Rapha would have aggressed on it. Oh no, it's not. It's only just died there. Okay. Interesting. How many hours of day one casting did you get? Probably something like between 12 and 14 hours from me. Sell you the Model M keyboard. No, it's building value right now for me. This is an artifact. And it was also a present to me, so there's gonna be no sale on that. It shouldn't, Eternal. I don't know why that happened. We are gonna have to go to the Han Kilson. Another big boy game. Wait, are these... might be on the wrong bit now. Okay, here we go. Do they make new Model M's? Those aren't Model M's that you want. Oh, I found the game.